A wild sellout crowd on hand at Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. And we welcome you to Game 4 of this National League Championship Series, where the Astros got their first win in the LCS here yesterday, and they're trying to even the series on this Sunday afternoon. Hi again, everybody. I'm Tom Brenneman, welcoming you as always to playoff baseball on Fox. So far in this LCS, everything's been right on schedule. In the first two games, the Cardinals flexed their muscles, scored 16 runs, and jumped out to a 2-0 lead in this best-of-7 series. But with the scene shifting here to Houston yesterday, the Cardinals were slowed down by Roger Clemens and Brad Lidge, and today the Astros start the National League's only 20-game winner this year, Roy Oswalt, who incidentally, Steve Lyons, has not lost to the Cardinals since September of 2003. The offensive story for the Astros, Carlos Beltran. He has been unbelievable this whole postseason, already 7 home runs. How do you slow him down?
I think you lock him in the men's room so he can't play it all. It's the only way to stop this guy right now. But he's really set the tone for this offense. He's had a home run in every ball game in this series, and he's scored a run in the first inning of every ball game in this series, getting things going for the Astros. But I just don't think St. Louis is doing a great job of pitching him. I think they need to bust him in a little bit more often and then throw slow stuff maybe in the dirt, try to get him to chase some pitches or pitch around him, because Jeff Bagwell hitting him behind him in the lineup has not looked good in this series, hitting just 100 right now.
All right, Bob Brenly, with that in mind, the man whose chore it is to slow down the Astros today, Jason Marquis, a 15-game winner during the regular season.
And Tony La Russa and the Cardinals are hoping that Jason Marquis is the guy to pull the plug on this power surge by the Astros. They've hit 20 home runs this postseason, including 9 in this series. Jason Marquis is a dead sinker ball pitcher. Almost 70% of the balls put in play against him were on the ground, and last time I checked, ground balls don't go out of the ballpark. Now, the Astros did have some success against Marquis during the regular season, but as we know, you can throw all that away once the postseason starts.
The Astros have won 20 of their last 21 games in this ballpark. Yesterday, they got it started in this series behind the Rockets. 7 terrific innings. Brad Lidge came on for the save. And now, Roy Oswalt, a 20-game winner during the regular season, looks to make it a 2-2 series. You're watching the LCS on Fox. Today's game on Fox is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge by DirecTV Sports in 100% digital quality. DirecTV Sports' biggest fan. By WebMD, redefining modern medicine. And by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers. Baseball fans, grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time, and indeed it is. Game 4 of this National League Championship Series. Cardinals with a 2-1 lead. Tony Womack digging in against Roy Oswalt. First pitch fastball, strike 1, and we are underway.
Tremendous numbers during the regular season for Oswalt, and he kept it going in the postseason so far this year.
Wicked breaking ball, and it's 0-2 to Womack.
Take a look at the scouting report. He will work both sides of the plate with that fastball, 94 miles an hour. They want him to throw more changeups.
And there's that Bugs Bunny curve you were talking about. Just flips it up there. 3 pitches, Womack gone.
A lot of the players talk about that Bugs Bunny curveball because it's one of those curveballs that he throws up there. You can swing at it 3 times before it ever makes it to the plate.
Take a look at the Cardinal batting order. Womack retired. Larry Walker coming up. Albert Pujols at first. Scott Rolen at third. Jim Edmonds in center. Edgar Renteria the shortstop. Couple of changes today. John Mabry in left field. Yadier Molina behind the plate for Jason Marquis. Larry Walker, 5 of 13 in the series with a pair of home runs. 4 runs batted in. There has been a home run in the top of the first inning in every game so far of this series. Walker did it in the top of the first yesterday. 1-1. Oswalt, 27 years old, out of Weir, Mississippi. His graduating class had 32 in it and was a 23rd round selection, and boy did they make the most out of a 23rd round pick. He has been lights out since the day he arrived on the scene here in Houston.
I bet he was the best athlete in his senior class, you think?
I hope he was the only one. Shoot, he didn't even play baseball. He went to a small college on a football scholarship.
2-1 delivery. Fouled back out of play, 2-2 to Walker. Oswalt has owned this St. Louis Cardinal team going back to September of last season. 4-0 in 5 starts with an ERA of 1.59. Boy, he locked up Walker there, who checked his swing, and they appealed, and he didn't go around.
Well, he's establishing very early that he's going to work both sides of the plate. Just like you said, Steve, he's come inside hard on Walker a couple times. Not only inside, but inside above the belt, up there at the hands. Good location.
Great purpose pitch, whether he gets the called strike out of it or not, letting all those Cardinal hitters know that he's going to come in and come in hard.
Coming in again and left it up and away, and there's ball 4 to Walker. He's the game's first base runner. And now let's look at the Houston defense. We cover the field, brought to you by State Farm. Biggio, Beltran, and Berkman in the outfield. Ensberg again at third, Vizcaíno at short, Jeff Kent, the second baseman, Bagwell at first, Raul Chavez behind the plate for Roy Oswalt. He has caught all but 2 Oswalt starts this year. Now Albert Pujols, 6 of 11 in the series with a pair of home runs. Pujols, one of the few Cardinal hitters with good numbers against Oswalt. We told you going back to September of last year, in 5 starts, a 4-0 record, the low ERA. Oswalt has not allowed a home run to a St. Louis Cardinal batter since September of last season.
You want to throw that stat out there with that guy standing at the plate?
Ain't much I can do about it either way. Two to Pujols. In the air, left field. That string may be over. It is. 2-run home run by Pujols, and the Cardinals on the board. And again, in the top of the first inning, in every game of this LCS, a home run.
We warned you yesterday not to be late. Albert Pujols with a home run in the bottom of the first inning in Game 1 of this series. That was just a laser beam.
2-0 fastball right down the middle. Albert doesn't get a lot of those 2-0 fastballs, not too often to hammer away at it. But boy, you get the ball elevated to him. You see that belt-high fastball. You got to keep the ball down to him. He will get his hits, but they won't end up out of the ballpark.
Fouled back out of play, 0-1 to Roland. Pujols getting his 3rd home run of this LCS, his 5th home run this postseason. Big overhand breaking ball, swung on and missed, 0-2 to Roland. Well, the first inning has been wild indeed so far in this league championship series. That one blistered down the left field line, a fair ball into the corner. Roland making the turn, and he doubles on an 0-2 pitch. In Game 1, Beltran hit a 2-run first inning home run. Pujols had a 2-run homer in the bottom of the inning. As you look at this ball, stay fair off the bat of Roland. In Game 2, Beltran a home run. And then here yesterday, Walker in the first. Kent a 2-run homer in the bottom of the inning.
Like a lot of good pitchers around baseball, Roy Oswalt is one of those guys, if you allow him to settle in, he can give you 6, 7, 8 innings strong during the course of a ball game. If you're going to get to him, you better do it early before he finds the right split between his fastball and his off-speed pitches.
We talked about that curveball that Oswalt has, and Scooter knows all about a good curveball.
This is Scooter. You know, a sweeping curveball can save my gorgeous face from getting smacked. I scoop from one side of the plate to the other and drop down at the same time. So remember, a sweeping curveball sweeps right over home plate.
How does Scooter sound there, Bob?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Scooter.
0-1 to Jim Edmonds. And it misses inside. Bob, you might do the best imitation of Scooter over the last couple of years of anybody we've heard.
A lot of people don't realize that I am the voice of Scooter.
Breaking ball, low and away to Edmonds, 2-1.
And every time Scooter makes an appearance, Mrs. Brenly gets to go to the mall.
I was kind of thinking that every time he does, I don't.
Runner at second, 1 out. Bouncing ball at Bagwell. He'll wave off Oswalt, beat Edmonds to the bag. Rowland advancing on the third, 2 out in the inning. Now Edgar Renteria. Only 1 hit in 11 at-bats during this league championship series without an extra base hit or a run batted in. Of course, he had a terrific divisional series in the 4-game victory over the Dodgers. First pitch swinging, dumps it foul and out of play.
The way this lineup is set up for the Cardinals, you'd think that they might go through problems if they can't get their first 2 guys on base. Walker's had a nice series. They've really kept Womack in check for most of this series, just 2 hits. But the middle of the order has been so devastating, it hasn't mattered.
Quickly 0-2 on Renteria. Boy, 2-out hitting has still been a huge factor in this series for the Cardinals. 2 outs and runners in scoring position in this LCS. They're 6 out of 13. One-two pitch. Fastball high again to even the count.
Many times Oswalt will miss high out of the strike zone like that intentionally to set up that big curveball. Comes out of the same slot, looks like it's headed for the same general area, and then drops over the strike zone.
3-2 now on Renteria after Oswalt got ahead, no balls and 2 strikes.
We looked at that scouting report where they're trying to get him to throw more changeups, and if he doesn't have the feel for both the fastball and the curveball, he may have to throw another pitch up there to get him to swing at something different. Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, thinks that his changeup is actually his second best pitch. They're just trying to convince him to use it more often.
Payoff pitch to Renteria. Fastball fouled out of play. Well, he gave you the number for Pujols, who has excellent career numbers against Oswalt. The same holds true for Renteria. Career .320 batter against him with a couple of home runs. 25 pitches already in this opening inning for Roy Oswalt. And it continues. His second walk of the inning. Runners on the corners and John Mabry the batter.
You know, I may be naturally paranoid being a former manager, but we talked to Tony La Russa before Game 1 about how much video the Cardinals watch. I'm sure the Astros do the same thing, but even as we walk through the clubhouse, rather than a football game or a soap opera or something on the TV, they had a videotape of that day's starting pitcher. That even as the players were going about their business, getting dressed, every time they looked at a TV, they saw the pitcher they were going to face that day. Watching these Cardinals hitters approach in this first inning, they have not been fooled by a curveball, and they've had great swings at fastballs.
Yep.
They perhaps picked something up in Oswalt's delivery that would tip them off as to what pitch is coming. Like I said, maybe I'm just paranoid, but Cardinals getting some pretty good rips at good pitches and laying off some tough pitches.
By the simple fact that you are a former manager, you are paranoid.
Mabry 0 for 1 in this league championship series, and he takes on the outside corner. Not sure about that call by home plate umpire Mike Winters.
Pretty good location there. That's where he's got to start hitting some of those corners. We talked earlier on in the at-bat to Larry Walker how he tried to bust him in hard. Unfortunately, he wasn't getting calls in there. It was off the plate. He's got to be able to bring some of those pitches to where he can get called strikes out of them like that last pitch.
0-1 to Mabry, and the breaking ball misses down and away. Well, it's been a lengthy opening frame for Roy Oswalt. Number 8 hitter in the Cardinal batting order, Yadier Molina, stands in the on-deck circle. Rolling at third, Renteria at first. In the air, short left center. It may fall, it will. Base hit will bring in Roland. On to third goes Renteria. He slides in safely. And it's 3-0 St. Louis. Mabry, his first hit of the postseason, and he drives in a run.
That was just a little jam shot into left field, but great base running by Edgar Renteria in this situation. You see that ball getting in on his hands. Renteria with 2 outs, knows that he's going to go to second easily. Biggio doesn't make the catch, and then Renteria says, I'm going to challenge your arm and go on to third. We've noticed in this series that they've replaced Biggio out there in left field defensively if they get the lead.
Chopped foul up the third baseline by Yadier Molina. 267 hitter in limited playing time during the regular season. 2 home runs and 15 batted in.
You know, Steve, that's a good time to take a chance to advance from first to third on that particular ball. Right-handed throwing left fielder moving to his left. Very little chance of getting any momentum on that throw.
Breaking ball in there, strike 2. Well, the 2 big Houston guns coming in games 3 and 4. Clemens, terrific here yesterday, allowed 4 hits and 2 runs. On the ground down to third. Ensberg the short way, and that will end the inning, but 8 men back. And the Cardinals strike for 3 against the National League's only 20-game winner. A 2-run blast by Poole. Today's game on Fox is brought to you by Cialis. Ask your doctor if a free sample of Cialis is right for you. By Honda, the 4-wheel drive 255 horsepower Pilot, built by Honda. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Astros come to bat 3-0. They trail. Bottom of the first inning. Here's Phil Garner's starting lineup. Craig Biggio in left field. The amazing Carlos Beltran in center. Jeff Bagwell at first. Lance Berkman in right. Jeff Kent in second. Morgan Ensberg at third. Jose Vizcaino the shortstop. Raul Chavez behind the plate for Roy Oswalt. And starting it for the Redbirds, he delivers ball 1 to Biggio. 27-year-old right-hander from Staten Island, New York. Jason Marquis won 15 games against 7 losses during the regular year.
There's the regular season numbers. An outstanding year in that trade from the Atlanta Braves that involved J.D. Drew and Ray King. Here's the scouting report on Marquis. He's got to keep the ball down in the zone to make that sinker sink. Mitts up the pitches because they think that he's been falling in love with his fastball, throwing too many of them. As we said before, that sinker has to sink in order for him to be effective. He's got to stay down below the belt.
Well, there's a ground ball at Renteria. Biggio retired, 1 away. Well, clearly that sinker was not working in his first postseason start. In 3 1/3 innings against the Dodgers, he gave up 3 home runs. The defense brought to you by State Farm. Still without an error in this postseason. Molina getting the nod behind the plate. Boy, Tony La Russa raved about him defensively before the ball game. The other change, Mabry in left field for Reggie Sanders.
Molina not only solid defensively behind the plate, only 21 years old, but he talks about his maturity. He said he's like Albert Pujols behind the plate as far as his maturity and his feel for the game and calling pitches for his starter.
What a postseason it has been for Carlos Beltran. Already 7 home runs through division series in the first 3 games of this league championship series. Only Barry Bonds in 2002 has hit more home runs in a single postseason than Beltran's 7 so far this year. Three and 0.
I'd let him swing right here. Down 3 runs, but there's already 1 out in this inning. He's the hottest hitter in the game right now. Let him hack.
He takes ball 4. We welcome in the fourth member of our broadcast team in Houston here today. Say hello to Josh Lewin.
Hey, Tommy, you guys were talking about the 7 home runs already, 1 away from Bonds. Remember, Bonds needed 17 games to get those 8 home runs. That is the record for an LCS. This guy that you're watching right now has 7 in 8 games, about 1 every game so far in the playoffs.
Troy Gloss also hit 7 home runs during that 2002 postseason championship run for the Anaheim Angels. Well, Bonds in the 17 games only got 45 at bats. He was walked a time or 2.
That's what they might have to start doing to Beltran, too.
On the outside corner, Steve Reich 1.
Yeah, Bonds had 8 homers, probably had about 10 pitches to hit.
Yeah. I don't know, 7 homers in 8 games. Do you dream that good?
Probably not. Beltran had 42 stolen bases during the regular season. That was fouled off by Bagwell, and it's 0-2.
We talked about Marquis' sinker, and it's going to be very effective for him if he can keep it down. And here's Scooter to tell you about it.
How you doing? It's Scooter. Check this out. I can be a real sinker. I look like a regular fastball, but then I dive down like an anvil fell on my head. Oh, the things I do for show business.
And Mrs. Brenly is at the shopping mall again. Brandon Webb, the only pitcher in all of Major League Baseball to induce more ground balls than Jason Marquis this season.
Usually not too hard to figure out a sinker ball pitcher. As Steve said, if he's keeping the ball down below the belt, getting that good movement, you'll see a lot of batters obviously hitting the ball on the ground, but fouling balls off their ankles and laying off some pitches that dive bomb down and inside.
He got that one in the air, did Bagwell, and it will go to the wall. Beltran will easily score, and an RBI double by Bagwell, his first run batted in of the LCS.
This is huge for Jeff Bagwell. Hitting behind Beltran in the order, has to get himself going. That's a little slider that hung out over the middle of the plate. Bagwell right down over the top of it. Good picture perfect Bagwell swing.
This is one facet of Carlos Beltran we haven't really got to see a lot of, because when you're jogging around the bases after hitting a home run, you can't really showcase your speed. But Gary Gaetti, the hitting coach for the Astros today, told us that he has speed like Willie Wilson. And for those of you who don't remember Willie Wilson, this guy could fly.
Now Lance Berkman having a big-time postseason as well. He's down a strike. Berkman 5 of 13 in this series with 2 home runs and 5 batted in. The Astros have continued to struggle with runners in scoring position this series. Only 4 hits and 21 at bats. Strangely enough, both of Berkman's home runs in this series have come from the right side, and both of them against Ray King. This was yesterday.
Berkman himself will admit that his right-handed swing is not aesthetically pleasing, I think were the words he used, but effective nonetheless.
Natural right-handed hitter gets more at-bats left-handed.
Fastball inside, 2-1. And Berkman against the Cardinals this season, including the playoffs, and the teams met 18 times during the regular year. Look at the numbers for Berkman. 24 runs batted in.
Tommy, when you talk about the 2 switch hitters there, Beltran and Berkman, you could actually make a case that we haven't seen the best out of Beltran. You could make a case that he's a better right-handed hitter than he is left, and all we've seen him do is hit left-handed in this whole series. Scary.
3-1 on Berkman. Bagwell at second base with 1 out. Boy, and Marquis having a tough time again. His second postseason start. His first one only lasted 3 1/3 innings. And everything is up, up, up since the leadoff batter, Biggio.
I think Dave Duncan's coming out here to give him a tongue lashing. They have not been happy with the way he's gone about his business. That's one of the reasons why they dropped him down to the number 4 starter. They don't like the fact that he won't throw his other pitches and mix them all in. And now he's up around the belt with his sinker.
Well, then, his start against the Dodgers during the division series, Marquis in 3 1/3 innings allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 home runs to Worth, Green, and Milton Bradley. First Cardinal pitcher to allow 3 home runs in a postseason game since Danny Cox in 1987. Bob Brenly hit one of those home runs against Danny Cox.
Goodness. A vague recollection of that one.
I bet Cox is trying to forget about it.
He had to retire the next day.
That was so long ago we couldn't find the tape.
I don't even think they have still photos of it.
Yeah, black and white.
2 on, 1 in, 1 out. Jeff Kent looks at a strike. Kent, like Berkman, has worn out Cardinal pitching this season. Time called at the plate. Look at the numbers this season against St. Louis for Kent. Nearly an RBI per game. Check swing, and he went too far. 0-2.
That's a good slider out of Marquis that time, but it's a little rough when your pitching coach comes out here as you watch the location here to come out there to tell you to keep your sinker down and mix in your other pitches, because Jeff Kent, as we talked earlier in this series, is one of the best hanging slider ball hitters in the game. If you're going to come out there and mix up your pitches, you better hit location with it.
He hit an 0-2 pitch for a home run in the first inning yesterday. Not this time. He looks at strike 3. So after the visit to the mound, good work by Marquis.
You rarely see a hitter lock up on a fastball right down the heart of the plate on a 2-strike count, but Marquis apparently caught Jeff Kent looking for something else right there. Was not anticipating that fastball.
Looked like he was diving out over, looking for that same slider he saw on the pitch before.
Now Morgan Ensberg. 2 hits and 12 at-bats during this LCS. One of the 2 hits a home run. Slider off the outside corner, ball 1. One and 0 to Morgan Ensberg. 2 aboard with 2 out. And he gets away from Molina, but not far enough for Bagwell or Berkman to advance. Well, if the Astros are going to win this series, they have to get those numbers turned around with 2 men out. That's where the Cardinals have been doing most of their damage. In the opening round, in this round, just about every Houston run in this series has come on a home run. Straight away center field and hit hard. Edmonds will run it down, and that will end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit, 2 men left. End of 1 in game 4, 3-1 St. Louis. Jason Marquis to lead things off for the Cardinals. Top half of the second inning. St. Louis leading 3-1. Marquis can swing the bat. He had 21 hits during the season. Puts the bat on the ball and just a shade late on that throw from Vizcaíno. Brad Ausmus wearing a microphone for us, talking to Roger Clemens a moment ago. Our Fox sounds of the game.
Marquis can swing the bat too. He can hit. Marquis. He went almost out the center field wall against us at their place.
Jason Marquis wants to swing the bat like Big Albert Poole.
He's a good athlete, as we saw him get down the line there, made that a close play at first base.
Ball 1 to Tony Womack.
Ball away from him, just takes it the other way. Slice.
Womack slow to get started in this postseason. Only 5 hits and 33 at-bats overall, 2 of 14 during the LCS. Well, he was such a pivotal part of this Cardinal offense, which led the National League, scoring better than 800 runs during the regular year.
Had an on-base percentage this season of about .349, which isn't great for a leadoff hitter, but it is the best on-base percentage that he's ever had in his career.
2-2.
All right, here's the big 12-6 curveball that we're talking about from Roy Oswalt.
Came back with a fastball and missed low and in, full count. Larry Walker to follow Womack. Cardinals in front by a pair with 1 out, nobody on. Top of the second inning, payoff pitch, and a 2-hopper at Kent should be the second out. It is. Larry Walker got the 3-run first inning started when he drew a walk, and he was aboard on the home run from Albert Pujols. Cardinals then got a double by Rowland. An out later, a walk to Renteria, and Mabry made it 3-0, dumping a single into short left field. Pull. Strike 1.
You notice Larry Walker never leaves the batter's box. Most guys get out of there and adjust their wristbands and adjust their batting gloves. Oh, a couple steps back that time, and he is going to adjust his gloves. Thanks, Larry. Usually he keeps that toe hold with the left foot, stays right in that batter's box, ready to hack at the next thing he sees.
Three consecutive breaking balls to Walker. That's the first one out of the strike zone. 1-2. Walker did not step out that time. Now he's moved out of the box with a fastball up and in.
It doesn't take him long to get right back in there.
Cardinal hitters are really making Oswalt work. Thrown 43 pitches so far here in the first inning and 2/3. Slap foul and out of play up the third base line. Still 2-2 on Walker. Doing everything in threes, thus the 33, his jersey number. He'll wave the bat 3 times. There's once, there's twice, and a 3rd time, and he's ready to go. Like clockwork. Breaking ball popped up. Just in front of the mound, Ensberg to call and a catch to end the inning. Oswalt sets him down in order. Astros come to bat the second, down a pair. Welcome back to Houston. We go to the bottom half of the second inning, a 3-1 Cardinal lead. Latter third in the batting order. It'll be Jose Vizcaíno, Raul Chavez, and Roy Oswalt. That ball in the air to right center field. Edmonds on the run. He's got it. 1 pitch and 1 out for Jason Marquis. Well, we remind you, coming your way weeknights on FSN, the greatest nightly sports show on TV, the best damn sports show, period. This coming week, Decades Week, we look back at some of the greatest games and moments from the last 40 years. Phil Jackson talks about his new book and much more, weeknights only on FSN. Raul Chavez looks at strike one. He's appeared in 2 games, only 1 start. Steve, 3 hits and 5 at bats.
Never had a home run during the regular season. Hit a big home run in the divisional series against the Atlanta Braves. When you look at him, I mean, he just screams out catcher. But he signed out of the Venezuelan Baseball Academy as a shortstop. One of the scouts came down there and took one look at him and said, "Son, you're going to be a catcher."
Well, both of these catchers in the game today certainly have that in common. You can just look at them, and you know they're catchers.
Because they both look so smart, right? That's what you're referring to.
Precisely.
Yeah, I thought so.
2-1 delivery to Chavez. This a fly ball into right field. Walker will go back and get it. And the first 2 retired. Well, throughout the LCS, we're going to identify a key matchup in the game and determine who holds the direct TV advantage. You look at the breakdown. Starters, middle relief, and closers over the course of the year. Houston starters in this postseason have been excellent. Cardinals just okay. But boy, that middle relief of Houston cost him a couple of games in this series already.
And has caused Phil Garner to reevaluate his plans with that bullpen as to who he uses, when he uses them. Insinuated yesterday that perhaps Dan Wheeler would be the guy that he might go to in a setup situation to get the ball to Brad Lidge. Even though Dan Maselli's done a great job of it all year long, at this time of year you go with the hot hand.
1-1 to Oswalt. Both starting pitchers in this game here today can swing the bat. We talked about Marquis. Oswalt during the regular season had 10 hits, 6 runs batted in. And Oswalt, one of the best bunters in all of baseball, should that situation call for it later in the game today. He had 13 sacrifices. And Marquis has fallen behind the pitcher, 3-1. Steve Klein rejoining the Cardinals prior to Game 3 here yesterday, and he is available.
See the finger all taped up.
Boy, Oswalt swinging now. Ahead in the count, 3-1. Oh, big Albert Pujols will lead things off for the Redbirds in the 3rd. He homered in his first at-bat today. Game 4, National League Championship Series. Cardinals lead the series 2-1. They lead Game 4 3-1. Pujols, Rowland, and Edmonds coming up. Albert hit his 5th postseason home run, his first at bat today.
And it was a laser beam into the left field bleachers. Albert Pujols, for a big man, Tony La Russa told us he can keep that inside pitch fair as good as anybody he's ever seen. There's a term that's thrown around rather loosely in baseball, staying inside the ball. Basically, I'm not sure what that means, but he's able to pull that left hand through, keep that ball fair. A lot of big hitters will hook that ball down the left field line, and it will curve foul. Pujols is able to hit that ball and keep it on line.
I'm glad you said that, because I hear that all the time. It doesn't mean I never took a swing in my life where my hands weren't inside the ball. I couldn't hit.
3-1.
Mitchell Page, the hitting instructor for the Cardinals, uses a different term. He says swing top to bottom, which has a lot to do with what you were talking about. Be quick to the ball, through the swing, with a big long follow through. Swing from the top of your swing down through the bottom of the ball. You hear everybody talk about stay behind the ball, keep your hands inside the ball. There's a lot of terms out there that when you get right down to it, what does it mean?
3-1 fastball, and Pujols takes it right down the gut. 96 miles per hour, full count. So those numbers a moment ago as Pujols is gone, so too have gone the Cardinals. And he draws a walk on a 3-2 breaking ball.
Now, that was not the curveball. Occasionally Oswalt will break out a slider. If he feels that a hitter is on his fastball and has seen too many curveballs, he will throw that little, it's almost a cutter. It's not really a legitimate slider, just moves away from the right-handed hitter a little bit, and that time missed just off of the corner.
Well, Albert Pujols is the type of hitter that pitchers start to invent pitches on the mound when they're facing them.
Ball 1 to Roland. 3 walks in the game already by Oswalt, who in 237 innings during the regular season walked 62 batters. That's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
And now 2-0.
It's a tribute to this Cardinals lineup. I don't think Roy Oswalt, so far what we've seen out of him, has great command of his pitches so far today. But the Cardinals lineup forces starting pitchers to nibble on the corners. You can't throw the ball down the middle of the plate, or Pujols showed you what they're going to do to it already. And so pitch counts go higher. Guys struggle with their location and their command, and it just messes you up as a starting pitcher. You look up, you're the 4th inning, you've thrown 80 pitches.
Dangerous pitch right here for Oswalt, down 2-0. And now 3 balls and no strikes. Oswalt in his last 5 starts against St. Louis. We gave you the record, we gave you the ERA, but he had only walked 5 batters total in those 5 starts, and already 3 walks in the first 2+ innings today.
Didn't give a home run up in those 5 starts, and he's already done that as well today.
And 1 to Roland. Jam shot pop-up, short left field. Biggio dives, cannot get it. And Pujols alertly advances on to 3rd. Well, now the Cardinals have it cooking with runners on the corners and nobody out.
Now, you have to respect Roland's power, but when you look where Biggio gets a start on this ball, look how deep he's playing, almost to the warning track. We talked about this a little bit before as he makes a great effort to try to catch this ball, but look where he's coming from. At that point, any ball hit over your head at that point is either off the wall or out of the ballpark, so you're not giving yourself a chance to cover ground.
Good read by Albert Pujols. I mean, Craig Biggio made that a much closer play than it appeared it was going to be with that effort right there at the very end, but Pujols heard the broken bat, got a great jump at first base. You see the effort by the former catcher, former second baseman, now left fielder. Just couldn't quite get the glove underneath the ball.
And I think that's why Craig plays a little deeper in left field, because of the confidence level. He hasn't played out there before. He wants to be able to come in on balls and not go back. But there is a point where you're playing so deep that it makes no difference, because no ball hit over your head can actually be hit in fair play. It's either out of the ballpark or off the wall, and to me, that is playing too deep. You have to give yourself a chance to catch balls in front of you.
Runners on the corners, nobody out. St. Louis looking to add to a 3-1 lead. Jim Edmonds, the batter. He bounced out to Bagwell his first time up. Oswalt, a big deep breath, and a breaking ball lifted high in the air to right center field. This will bring in Pujols from 3rd. Berkman's throw will go into 2nd. Sac fly RBI for Edmonds makes it 4-1 Cardinals.
Veteran hitter at the plate with less than 2 outs and a runner at 3rd base. They're looking for anything up in the zone. That was a hanging breaking ball, probably about shoulder high. But Jim Edmonds knew if he got the bat on the ball, it was going to be a fly ball to the outfield and score that run.
Edmonds, his 5th RBI of this LCS, his 7th this postseason.
I mean, this is not the kind of pitch you normally attack, but in this particular situation, runner at 3rd base, get it in the air to the outfield, get your team a run.
Renteria drops it foul, 0-1.
Edmonds is one of those rare left-handers who's actually a very good high ball hitter, so he doesn't care about going after a ball like that. He knows his job is to drive in runs. He had a career high in RBIs with 111 this year, and he tied his career high in home runs with 42. Go up hacking.
Possible hit and run situation here with Renteria at the plate. Handles the bat very well, adept at shooting that ball to the right side. Roland, not a tremendous speed at first base, but a good base runner.
Fastball up and in, 1-1. Jose Oquendo, the Cardinal third base coach, looking in at Tony La Russa, and he'll relay the signs to Edgar Renteria. Took a long look down there at Oquendo.
Well, we always felt Oquendo's signs were just a decoy anyway. I think the first base runner gets the signs from Dave McKay. And many times after the hitter watches Oquendo down at third base, you'll see him look to McKay at first base.
Well, this is a pitch to do it. 2-1. They don't. 2-2.
I think that's what he's trying to do too, Oswald. If they're not in motion over at first base, he's looking to try to get something on the outer half of the plate that Renteria will try to pull and look for a 6-4-3 double play. He needs some help to get out of this inning and conserve some pitches. Throw himself a ground ball right here.
A fly ball into right field. Berkman near the line makes a play for the second out of the inning. We'll send it downstairs to Josh Lewin.
Tom, John Mabry coming up. He's turning 34 years old today. 8 years ago, he was in an NLCS for the Cardinals, but Tony La Russa sat him on his birthday. Tony played Dimitri Young in Game 7 of the '96 NLCS. Mabry watching it helplessly as Atlanta won by 15. He told me before the game, hey, I'm playing on my birthday this time. I'm going to make something happen.
And that he did his first time up, driving in a run with a single into left center field. So happy birthday, John Mabry. Bagwell going to take a hit away from him here. The Cardinals get another run, but the big hitters coming up. Top of the order for Houston. Beltran will bat second when we come back. St. Louis has given Jason Marquis a 3-run lead for the second time already in a game today. They jumped out 3-0. Marquis gave up his only run in the bottom of the first. Cardinals tack on one more in the third. And now Marquis faces the top of the order. Biggio, Beltran, and Bagwell. Steve Reich one.
We talk a lot about how the Astros have gotten most of their runs in this series on home run balls. Both of these teams are able to play small ball, and I think if the Astros want to get back in this game, they have to start thinking in terms of that. Get a couple guys in, move some guys over, chip away.
Well, during the regular season, only 35% of the Astros runs scored came on home runs. In this postseason, nearly 60%. Tapper foul. Steve, Bob, as you well know, in the playoffs, you're leaning mighty heavy on your chances of advancing round after round after round if you're counting on the home run ball.
It's a tough way to go unless you've got lineups like these two teams. You've got both teams have a thickness in the middle of the lineup for that home run ball. I mean, the Astros coming into play today, of their 86 hits in the postseason, 37 of them were for extra bases. 43% of their hits were for extra bases.
One and two to Biggio. Marquis rocks and delivers, and it's popped up. Out of play.
Easy, take a good look at that last out of the inning. John Mabry, watch out. Subterranean view. And you got the veteran down there just scooping it up. Boy, it's nice. And when you hit balls like that, you hate it because you're already out when you're 2 steps out of the box.
Down the left field line. Is it fair or foul? Foul ball.
Boy, how much does that left field corner down there remind you of Fenway Park? Very little room in foul territory, and the big wall not only on left field but also the left field wall itself was about 20 feet higher. It would be the Green Monster. You can see it missing by about a foot.
And unlike Albert Pujols, who kept his ball fair, that time Biggio got the head of the bat out front just a little bit. A little bit of cross spin on that ball caused it to hook foul.
Still a ball and 2 strikes on Biggio. A long look in by Marquis, and now he's set to go. Stays high at even a count.
Well, we have a pitcher on the mound that's basically a 2-pitch pitcher, a sinker and a slider. That's his bread and butter. And you see him shake and wait so long to get the sign he wants. It's a pretty good indicator that he's going to throw his 3rd or 4th best pitch.
That one popped up down the left field line. And into the corner is Pujols, and again out of play. As Mabry got over there and tried to jump into the stands to get it. You really have to jump high to get in the stands where he was.
It's his birthday. He wants to make something happen. He's like Spider-Man out there.
That ball was just a little closer to the railing. He might have had a chance. What a great effort.
Yep. Bartman would have been there to catch it, though.
Check swing. They appeal. Nothing doing. Says Angel Hernandez. Ninth pitch in this at bat. We'll have a 10th pitch. This one popped up and playable, left side of the infield. And Roland's got it. Good battle. Won by Marquis. Now he'll turn his attention to Carlos Beltran, who in this LCS in the first inning of Game 1. A 2-run home run off Woody Williams. Game 2, first inning against Matt Morris. Another laser to the seats in right. And then Game 3 in the 8th inning against Roy King. Made it a 4-2 ball game. His 4th consecutive postseason game with a home run, which ties a major league record. Only the 5th player to do so. Up the middle. Diving attempt by Womack, but he can't get there. Well, Beltran has been on each of his first 2 times, a walk and now a single. Told you he had 42 stolen bases during the season, was not thrown out once since coming to Houston.
That's just terrible right there. Didn't get the bat head out extended. Didn't get the barrel of the bat on the ball. Didn't hit the ball out of the park.
Stinking single.
Go back to the drawing board.
Well, now we may get an opportunity to see some of the other tools that Carlos Beltran possesses. That blinding speed on the bases. Tom, you mentioned a perfect 28 out of 28 since coming over to the Astros, stealing bases.
Bagwell hooks and foul at the 3rd base line. He had an RBI double into left center field, knocking in the only Houston run in the 1st.
You got Bagwell and Berkman and Osmus all wearing those playoff beards. Every time I look at Bagwell now, I want to jump on my total gym and get a workout. He looks so much like Chuck Norris.
Into center field, a base hit. Beltran will stop at second base, and here come the Astros with 2 on and 1 out, down 3.
A little bit of a jam shot there. That ball down toward the trademark. Jeff Bagwell strong enough to just muscle that ball out into short center field.
Dave Duncan will come out and visit Jason Marquis.
Well, we've talked about it at several junctures throughout this series already. The Cardinals will do this to try to steal the momentum back away from the Astros, try to get the fans back down into their seats, and also to settle down the pitcher out there on the mound and make sure they know exactly how they want to go after Lance Berkman.
Following today's game here in Houston, we will have coverage of Game 4 of the American League Championship Series between the Yankees and the Red Sox from Fenway Park, presented in high definition and brought to you by the all-new Dodge Dakota. Stay tuned to Fox Sports, your exclusive home for postseason baseball. The Yankees going for the 4-game sweep. Orlando Hernandez will get the start for the Yankees, and Derek Lowe, rather than take Whitefield, who had to come on in relief in that shellacking last night. Check swing. Too low. Ball 1 to Berkman.
You know, Bob, we saw a lot of replays of Bagwell's base hit there to center field, and I think it's a classic example for some of the younger kids that are watching that good hitters get jammed and they can still get hits. If you stick with your swing through the swing instead of trying to adjust it when you know the ball's beating you, you can still get a hit.
In the air, right center field, and well hit. Edmonds to the wall, and it's up against it. Beltran rounds third. Bagwell right behind him. It is a one-run game.
Right down Broadway, belt high, and Bobby, I don't know if you see the same thing I do in the follow-through, but Beltran and Berkman's swing are very, very similar, especially from the left side. Big, quick to the ball, big long backswing.
And a great read by Jeff Bagwell. Saw that ball headed for the gap, got a good read on Jim Edmonds out there, knew he could not get to the ball and was off to the races, right on the heels of Carlos Beltran to score.
What a late season run it has been for Berkman. He now has 10 RBIs in the postseason. Kent, first pitch swinging, pops it up. Roland will come into fair territory, and that's a big out right there for Marquis. You know, with all the talk about Carlos Beltran during this postseason, Lance Berkman's running right there neck and neck with him. As Danny Herron cranks it up in the Cardinal bullpen. He pitched an inning and a third here yesterday, allowed 2 hits and 1 run. He gave up the home run to Carlos Beltran. Ensberg left 2 on with a fly ball to center field in the first inning. And first pitch hacking here off the end of the bat, foul.
So far in this game, we've seen both starters struggle with their command. 7 runs scored in this game already. We're not even through the third, but one of the things that has to scare you if you're a Cardinal fan is that Jason Marquis, we talked about ground ball outs. He only has 2 ground ball outs all day long.
Well, Ensberg up there shaking his head. He's not going to hit that pitch with an oar. Back-to-back sliders about a foot away.
I guess it depends on the length of the oar, but that's a real good pitch. That hard biting slider starts on the outer half of the plate and just dive bombs off of the plate.
Well, they set up inside, and Marquis missed about 2 feet outside.
It's amazing how pitchers will try to set up hitters sometimes, and that's what they were trying to do, set up to go back in hard on Ensberg. But Marquis missed location so badly, Ensberg probably thought they were trying to go away from him again.
Swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning. But Berkman a 2-run double, and a 3 in game 4, 4-3 St. Louis. The League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. Great crowd here in Houston, Texas. And a 4-3 St. Louis lead at the end of 3. Roy Oswalt to face a Yadier Molina. And a strike 1 on the outside corner. Molina ended the first inning on the fielder's choice ground ball to third base. Molina, of course, one of 3 brothers catching in the major leagues. There's a fly ball into deep right center. Beltran will get to it. Yadier, Benji, and Jose. Funky, bold Molinas.
Oh. Well, I tell you, Yadier, the youngest and quite possibly the best of the 3.
I dig it.
Pure guy psycho, Tone Loc.
Oh, I'm digging this song.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they can't even play a wiffle ball game at a family reunion because they got nobody to pitch.
Ground ball, base hit into right field by Marquis. Nearly a 300 batter. And here he goes to second base. And a throw. And he's out. Boy, you got to wonder where in the world is Jason Marquis going?
I don't know if he just thought that Berkman loafed after this ball a little bit, or maybe Berkman kind of decoyed Marquis into going to second base. Kent made the effort. Here comes Berkman. A little lackadaisical there, but when he looks up, I think I got you. Tried to catch him sleeping, maybe. It didn't work out too well.
Ball one away to Tony Womack.
Going hard right out of the batter's box. Slows down a little bit to make the turn. He sees Berkman hesitate out there in right field and tries to turn it on again. Had he continued running full speed all the way to first base, make a good aggressive turn, he probably makes it to second base.
Yep. Rowe was off the bag coming in to the covering Vizcaíno. He nearly made it anyway.
Just got him thigh high right there, a smidgen before he made it to the bag. Hey, Tony La Russa preaches aggressive baseball from all his players, including his pitchers, I guess.
That's a good time to try it. Top of the order coming up. One out if he gets to second base there. Tony Womack conceivably moves him up to third. Now Womack with the walk.
That could turn to be a costly walk for Roy Oswalt. We'll see how the rest of this inning plays out. But you put a guy aboard, you'd retired twice on ground balls already, only 2 hits and 14 at-bats in the postseason. Now you got to face Larry Walker.
Only 2 hits in this series and 2 stolen bases, so when he gets on, you know he wants to run. Stole 26 this year. Take another look at that, and you can check out Berkman's view of what's going on. Marquis just thought he could sneak one in there.
Strike one, a fastball at the knees to Walker, who has walked, scored, and popped up to third. Bouncing ball up the middle and into center field, a base hit. Womack makes a turn on his way to third. So the Cardinals with something cooking, 2 away. Runners on the corners and Pujols coming up.
We talked about so many guys in this series that have picture-perfect swings. Larry Walker was the guy that we used to talk about as a 5-tool guy. Look at the balance on this swing. Leaning back just a little bit through that swing because that ball got in on his hands, and he leaned back to get his hands through and shoot that ball back up the middle. This ball's beating him a little bit, pulls his hands in a little tighter, and just bangs that ball right back up the middle.
Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, is going to come out and visit with Oswalt, who clearly does not have it here today. At least doesn't have it compared to the way he has pitched this entire season. Went 20-10 during the regular year, an ERA under 3.5, won 1 of 2 postseason starts against Atlanta during the division series. Whereas that second time he came back, Steve, you did that game 5 in Atlanta when he came back on 3 days rest.
Had good stuff then. It just has so much to do with this Cardinal lineup. I mean, not that Roy Oswalt, who won 20 games this year, is afraid of anybody, but you certainly have to pay attention to every guy in that lineup.
Got to look at the bullpen down there. Russ Springer, along with Dan Wheeler, starting to crank it up. What a rip there by Pujols, and fouled it straight back.
Can you say lucky? Woo! He hasn't missed many of those in this series.
Boy, National League pitchers wake up in sweats in the middle of the night seeing that swing.
0-1 delivery. Ran a fastball further in on him that time. And fouled back out of play. Oswalt ahead, 0-2. This is a huge at-bat in this game for Oswald. Already 77 pitches. We're only in the 4th inning.
This at-bat may show you how great a two-strike hitter Pujols is. I mean, Oswald now has a tremendous advantage. He's got him down 2 strikes, no balls in the count. He's got all his weapons that he can use, and you can expand the strike zone now. You can go up in the strike zone with a 94, 95 mile an hour fastball. You can drop the slow curve. You can go off the plate. You can throw the changeup. Watch how Pujols reacts to any of those situations.
Pujols, a 2-run home run if you're just joining us in the opening inning. His 3rd in this league championship series. He walked and scored in the 3rd inning. Center field, sinking line drive, a base hit. Scoring is Womack. On to 3rd goes Walker. And Pujols drives in his 3rd run of the game. He makes it 5-3 St. Louis. So indeed, that 2-out walk to Womack comes back to bite Oswald.
And you'll notice not the same violent, aggressive swing as he took earlier in the count. That's a 2-strike swing. Shorten up, get the bat on the ball, and go with it. That pitch out away from him, up a little bit, just guided it out into right center field, picks up the RBI.
It's an 0-2 pitch that gets hit, but you can't really look at Oswald and say it was a terrible located pitch. Ball was up in the zone a little bit, but it probably wasn't even a strike off the plate.
Roland first pitch swinging, fly ball into right center field. Beltran's got it, that'll end the inning. 3 hits, 1 run after 3.5. Cardinals behind Pujols with a 2-run lead. 2 teams have combined for 8 runs on 11 base hits. We've only played 3.5. And yes, this is a National League Championship Series.
Be careful, we'll get a Red Sox-Yankee game breaking out.
Well, the Astros need to get something from the bottom part of their batting order. They have gotten next to nothing so far. We invite you to play Hit the Pros, presented by the all-new GMC Canyon, and face real pitches from today's best hurlers. Log on to foxsports.com, keyword games. GMC, we are professional grade. Check swing by Vizcaíno. They appeal. And not a popular decision by Tim Wilkie at 3rd.
It sure looked like Jose Vizcaíno was able to hold up, at least with the naked eye. We'll get a real good look at it right here. That's right at the edge there.
Three balls and a strike now with Vizcaíno, along with Ensberg and whoever's in the catcher spot, whether it be Ausmus or Chavez, hitting a combined 184 so far in this series.
Just beating up Molina back there behind the plate.
I think that one might have got a piece of Mike Winters as well. You see the backhanded reach there, hits off the heel of the glove, gets Mike Winters up on the right shoulder. That hit everybody but Vizcaíno right there.
The ricochet was trying to get him.
3-2 on Jose Vizcaíno, leading off the Astros' 4th inning. He pops it up right at John Mabry in left field. 1 away.
You may remember Steve talked at the top of the show about the scouting report on Marquis that he had to keep the ball down. There's a hanging breaking ball that was hit. A fastball up around the belt to Bagwell that he waffles, and Berkman with another sinker that stayed up around the belt. When he is getting that ball down in the zone, he's getting great movement. He's getting some ground balls. He's getting these Astros hitters to swing over the top, but unfortunately for the Cardinals, he's getting a lot of them up around the belt.
And both teams may be going to their bullpens very early in this game today. Pico Calero starting to crank it up right now in the St. Louis bullpen. You saw Springer and Wheeler a short while ago. Both have taken a seat in the Houston bullpen. Well, Marquis goes a 3-ball count on Vizcaíno. He falls behind Chavez 2-0. Living dangerously. Popped up into foul territory and out of play. Bob and Steve caught up with St. Louis skipper Tony La Russa a moment ago. We'll hear those comments shortly.
It should be pointed out that we talked to Tony before the bottom of the third inning.
Broken bat, one hopper at Pujols, 2 away. Let's check in with Tony La Russa.
Tony, your starting pitcher Jason Marquis seems to be keeping that sinker down, a key for him in the ball game, as you told us before the game.
Yeah, I think there's 2 of them, Bob. But one of them is the ball's got to be down, and the other thing, he's got to mix in a few other things so he just don't sit on it.
Tony, what is it about the first innings in these ball games? It's just really having trouble to get people to settle down early.
Well, I just think, you know, adrenaline's pumping, and those starting pitchers are going out there kind of fired up and charged up, and now that, you know, they settle in there, they're tougher.
All right, Tony, thanks a lot.
Strike 1 to Roy Oswalt. Marquis has fallen behind the first 2 batters in this inning, but come back to retire each of them. And a ground ball up the middle. Womack backhand. Throws out Oswalt. And a perfect 4th. We go to the 5th. 5-3 St. Louis, back after a break from your local Fox station. Roy Oswalt set to begin the top half of the 5th inning. He has not struck out a batter through the first 4 innings of this game. That has not happened in a single start for Oswalt this entire year, where he's gone the front 4 without picking up a strikeout.
Got a 1-2-3 inning in the 2nd. He could use one right here in the 5th.
Well, he really got careless in the Womack at bat. I think if you ask Roy after the game, as Edmonds trying to get out of the way of the pitch, went around with that swing.
I don't know about that one either. Ball pushes him off the plate. He tries to hold his swing and get out of the way at the same time. It looked like the bat came across just in his effort to get out of the way.
Yep.
In the air down the left field line, Biggio in fair territory makes the catch. We caught up with pitching coach Jim Hickey a moment ago.
Jim, Roy Oswalt today looks like he's really battling through a day where he doesn't have great command of his pitches.
Well, yeah, he struggled a little bit with the command of the fastball, and that, of course, is the Achilles heel. You know, he had the 32-pitch inning or so in the first, and it's basically been a struggle ever since. If he can get the fastball down, I think he can give us a couple of more innings, and I think the offense will get something going.
You know, it probably didn't happen very often during the regular season, but when Roy Oswalt found himself struggling with his command early in the game, was he able to get back on the beam and find that zone as the game progressed?
Yeah, well, you're right. It hadn't happened a whole bunch like that. But, yeah, he was able to get away with some pitches, and he was also able to find himself a little bit, and he struggled to do that a little bit today. But hopefully we'll get it rolling here.
One of those games where Oswalt struggled early is arguably the single biggest game the Astros won this year, which sent them into a stretch where they won 36 of their last 46 games. It was on August 27th against Chicago as Mabry lifts a fly ball into center field. A 4-pitch inning for Oswalt, and boy, did he need that. Astros coming right back at him. Top of the order due up, down 2 in Game 4. The killer bees of the Houston Astros coming up here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Craig Biggio, Carlos Beltran, Jeff Bagwell, Lance Berkman and company. Trailing 5-3 in Game 4 of this league championship series. Biggio today 0 for 2. But the other 3 behind him have not been retired once in the game today by Jason Marquis. That quartet so far in the postseason has hit nearly 400 with 33 runs batted in and 24 extra base hits. Juggling the ball is Mabry, but Biggio going to stop it first with a leadoff single. Today's Budweiser fantasy player. How about the series Hideki Matsui is having for the Yankees? Log on to foxsports.com, keyword fantasy baseball. Today's game is brought to you by Budweiser. Grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time.
We have seen some pretty good play out of the left fielders in this game, especially down here in Houston. A lot of people think because the left field area is so small, it's easier to play. I think you should play more shallow here in left field because of what we talked about before. Anything hit over your head is going to be off the wall, and it's a sure double anyway. But because it's so short, the ball gets on you quicker. So he's got to make a beeline to cut that thing off, keep it in front of him, and get it in to prevent a double. And we've seen really, really good left field play in this series.
Carlos Beltran has homered in 4 consecutive postseason games. He's 1 for 1, has thrown a walk, and scored twice in Game 4.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to throw to him either. Go into my stretch and stand there for about 10 minutes.
In the Cardinal bullpen, and you got to wonder if this is just a delay to get Colero into the game, although Tony La Russa continues standing on the bottom step. Foul ball by inches.
Just foul. Occasionally you'll get that first baseman bouncing too far off the bag at first and be able to sneak almost like a passing shot in tennis. That one clearly foul. Well, the reason the Cardinals are stalling for time to make sure Colero is ready to enter this game. The 3 hitters following Carlos Beltran, we know how hot Beltran has been, but Bagwell, Berkman, and Kent, 429, 571, and 500. Lifetime against Jason Marquis.
Well, we mentioned he has not retired any of them here today, and his day is over. Colero will come on from the Cardinal bullpen. We'll be back.
Tommy, as we have the pitching change, let's take a look at what we were talking about before. Carlos Beltran and Lance Berkman's swing, how similar they are. If you stop it at point of contact, you see the bat angle very, very similar. You see their hips coming through the ball at the same time. Good clearance of their hips. And then the backswing. You see how it's a big, long backswing, but it's fairly low across their body. They don't finish with their bat way up here high. Neither one of them do. Quick to the ball, long follow-through, but a very flat follow-through to get great extension around the ball.
Well, Beltran up there with a count of no balls and 1 strike. The day is over for Jason Marquis, taking over on the mound. Right-hander Kiko Colero. He had a solid regular season and a solid postseason so far. Fastball in on Beltran. 1-1. A new left fielder as well, part of a double switch made by Tony La Russa. John Mabry's day is through. So Taguchi in left field. Golf that one foul. A ball and 2 strikes.
For me, this guy's been one of the most valuable members of the bullpen for the Cardinals so far this series because of what you mentioned before. You can bring him in against righties. You can bring him in against lefties. He's been very versatile. He's been in almost every game. And the guy's a rubber arm, and he's got electric stuff. And the cool name.
1-2 on Beltran. Breaking ball, strike 3 called on the outside corner. What a pitch by Colero.
Almost an unhittable strike. Backdoor breaking ball starts off the outside corner. Nice job by Molina to push that ball a little bit back towards the strike zone. Gets the call from home plate umpire Mike Winters.
I don't know, it's one of the 5 tools class Because I'll tell you what, that's a pitch right there that Carlos Beltran, for as good as he's going right now, could argue and say, wait a minute, that's not a strike on me the way I'm swinging the bat right now. Tipped his hat and went back and sat down.
Now Bagwell, a big swing and a foul ball. Bagwell is double, single, knocked in a run, scored a run.
Bagwell with that sitting in a chair approach really lets it fly. He doesn't get cheated, that's for sure.
Bagwell said many times, if you're a little leaguer, don't watch me hit.
0-1 with Biggio at first. Bagwell a tying run at the plate.
I'd love it when a catcher will take charge. You see Molina on that pitch, even though there was a throw over to first base, begging the pitch to be down and away in the dirt. Watch the action of the catcher trying to get the location of his pitch.
Well, he gets down low, doesn't he?
He's got a low center of gravity to start with, which shows great flexibility in those big, strong legs. That's the most amazing thing to me about a guy like Molina, like Chavez from the Astros, even like Pudge Rodriguez. Big, thick, heavily muscled legs, but very, very flexible.
1-1 to Bagwell. And he pops it up behind the plate, and that ball will drift in amongst the fans. So Calero coming in, throwing strikes. That certainly has been the big difference so far in this series. That middle relief of the St. Louis Cardinals, as they have done all season long. They had the best bullpen ERA in the National League this season, and it's been a big difference so far in this series.
I mean, you've noticed it, and I think the results for the Astros haven't been all that good in middle relief, but Phil Garner has said, you know, a few of my guys have come in and actually thrown the ball very well. We haven't gotten the results. Hopefully that'll change for them.
Bagwell with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes after Beltran looked at strike 3 a moment ago. And Bagwell does the same.
Boy, another short, tight breaking ball to Bagwell this time. Right over the heart of the plate. Apparently the Astros hitter's just not picking up the rotation on the ball. When you can fool 2 good hitters like Beltran and Bagwell, Bagwell felt that pitch was going to be up and in. You can see how he reacts. Breaks right over the heart of the plate.
Now Lance Berkman, who walked in the first inning, had a 2-run double into right center in the third. He has 10 runs batted in this postseason. 7 of those in his LCS. There goes Biggio. Throw down to second base, and he's out at second base. Boy, you got to wonder about that decision to run the way Berkman's swinging the bat. The League Championship Series on Fox, brought to you by MasterCard. There's some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. By Midas. Trust the Midas touch. And by GMC. We are professional grade. And a 5 runs, 7 hits for St. Louis. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Astros. And Craig Biggio with 2 out and Berkman at the plate. Thrown out trying to steal second base to end that last half inning. The question begs, why?
Well, first of all, very close play at second base. It appeared Craig Biggio perhaps got his hand on the bag before the tag up high on the shoulder. But I think this was just a case of the ball beat him to second base, and second base umpire Ed Rapuano saw the ball was there. You'll see from his location, the umpire is actually a little bit behind the play. He's in proper position, but you can see Renteria screens his view a little bit.
How about that piece of hitting from Yadier Molina? Just reach out there and drop the head of the bat and punched it into center field.
And the piece of defense he had on that play with Biggio stealing. Molina during the regular season threw out 50% of the runners trying to steal, and that number is off the charts for a catcher. Didn't have as many opportunities, obviously, but everyone knows right now this kid has a gun. Watch what Kiko Calero does. Get out of the way after he pitches the ball. That would have taken his head off.
You could see the ball clearly beat him down to the base, but the tag was applied high. It looked like Biggio perhaps got his hand in before the tag, but tough play for the umpire to see from that angle when the shortstop steps inside the infield the way Renteria did.
Molina aboard for the first time today, and now so Taguchi, who came on as part of the double switch. He had 10 sacrifices during the regular season. So he can bunt, and they ask him to bunt. A .291 batter during the regular year.
And in this particular situation, should he be bunting, you definitely want to put that ball down the first baseline. Ensberg at third base creeping in as we speak.
Oswalt will throw out Taguchi. What a great bunt by Taguchi, advancing the runner into scoring position. Let's check in downstairs with Josh Lewin.
You know, Tom, Japan's Hideki Matsui tearing it up in the ALCS. 57 credentialed media from Japan to follow Matsui. To follow Taguchi in this series, 11. And Matsui played for big market Yomiuri in Japan. Now, of course, he's with big market, really big market New York. Taguchi, small market team in Japan, the Oryx Blue Wave. Now with a small market team in St. Louis.
Been nothing small about his play, however, for this Cardinal team this year. He has done a solid job. Strike one to Tony Womack.
I understand the difference when Taguchi is a situational defensive player, good fundamental guy, comes in to drop a sacrifice bunt, and Matsui goes 5 for 6 with 5 RBIs in last night's ball game.
Well, Taguchi was a star, however, in Japan. This is a new role for him, being a part-time guy, a bench player, but he has taken to it and is more than willing to contribute in any way he can to help this team win.
Tony Womack, the batter, walked and scored in that 4th inning. That walk came after 2 men were out. A walk to Womack, a single by Walker, and then Pujols with a single into center. Pujols with 3 RBIs in the game today. Activity again in the Houston bullpen. Dan Wheeler, the right-hander, up for the 2nd time, joined by the southpaw, whom we've not seen in this series, Mike Gallup. Good breaking ball by Oswalt, 0-2. Well, we were starting to tell the story last half inning about Oswalt in that August 27th game. You may remember the week before, Oswalt hit Cubs catcher Michael Barrett with a pitch. The 2 teams played the following weekend in a big 4-game series. Cubs won the opener as Womack bounces one to the right side, and that's the 2nd out of the inning, with Molina advancing on to 3rd. In the 2nd game of that series, Oswalt gave up 6 runs in the first 3 innings. But because the bullpen had been used so frequently, overused in fact, in the week leading up to that game, Phil Garner had to leave him out there. Michael Barrett exchanged words with Oswalt when he came to the plate. They hit Oswalt with a pitch in that game. And from that day on, the wheels fell off for the Cubs, and the Astros took off.
I believe the word Phil Garner used was galvanizing. It had a galvanizing effect. He said they were already starting to play better. You could see signs that they were turning it around. But that particular ball game may have been the galvanizing turning point in the 2nd half of the season.
It started a 12-game winning streak. Astros had 6 teams in front of them in the wild card race at that point. 1-1 to Walker, fouled out of play.
Now, Oswalt's at 94 pitches now, but if he can get Walker out in this situation, this is a huge at bat. He may be able to go another one for you. Save that bullpen. You got a few guys down there throwing right now, and they're heating up quick, but might stick with Oswalt for another one.
On the ground, and he will get out of the 6th inning. We head for the bottom half. Berkman to lead it off. 5-3 St. Louis.
Well, as you know, Brad Ausmus has been kind enough to wear a mic for us, and he was sitting on the bench talking to Andy Pettit about the dilemma a manager gets in the postseason about when to ask a guy to bunt.
Or a home run.
I know that. I totally know that. I'm not talking about it. I'm not even talking about our line. I'm talking about anybody's line. I'm talking about even this line. You know, St. Louis. I mean, there's a time and a place where I think that.
You want Albert Pujols to bunt with a man on first? No outs in the 9th inning? Ever?
Probably not him.
No. Yeah, probably not him.
Lance Berkman to lead off against Kiko Calero. What a job Calero did. After a leadoff single given up by Marquis in the 5th inning to Craig Biggio, he faced Beltran with an 0-1 count, struck him out looking, struck out Bagwell looking, and they threw out Biggio attempting to steal to end the inning, leaving Berkman at the plate. But now he begins the 6-2-0.
I think in that conversation, the point that Pettit was trying to make, that playing a little small ball in a tight game with a team that has a great closer, if you can move a guy from second to third, all you need is a fly ball to score him, and the best way to do that is dropping a bunt down.
To back up even further in that conversation, and we got to hear the whole thing, but Brad Ausmus was saying, you know, is it fair to ask a guy who hasn't put down a sacrifice bunt in maybe 4 or 5 or 6 seasons, he's a middle of the lineup RBI guy, now suddenly you're asking him to do something he's not familiar with doing. Is that the right thing to do? That's the dilemma.
Well, you're a good man to ask that question, Bob. You asked Matt Williams to put down a bunt in the 2001 World Series. He had not had a sacrifice in nearly 4 years, and he just laid it out there like he's been doing it all his life.
I think it's a very subjective thing. I knew Matt Williams very well. I knew he was a good bunter, even though he wasn't asked to bunt very often, and I felt very confident that he could do that. These managers know the capabilities of their players a lot better than we do or the fans do, and if Tony La Russa or Phil Garner felt that one of their middle-of-the-lineup guys could get a sacrifice bunt down, I'm sure they would do it.
And the Cardinals did it earlier this season by Scott Rowland. Rowland did it on his own.
I certainly see both sides of the argument, because there are guys in the middle of the order that they're not supposed to be bunting. You know, I think the point that Ausmus made right there, you want Albert Pujols to bunt? I'd pay him to drive in runs. But there are a lot of people that would listen to this game and say, if I ask you to bunt, you darn sure better be able to bunt. We pay you a lot of money to be a complete ball player. Do all aspects of the game.
Well, now Calero and Molina having a hard time getting on the same page. And while we have a moment, this week's WebMD symptom checker focuses on Chris Carpenter. They thought originally it was something in the forearm and nerve damage. It turned out to be in the right biceps. Carpenter was the ace of this Cardinal rotation during the regular season. Their best pitcher with the best stuff. But don't sing that song to the Astros. They're missing 2 of their top starters. In the air, left field. Did Berkman get enough? Yes, sir. 1-run game. So much about Carlos Beltran. Do not overlook Berkman. He is having a monster postseason.
And Tommy, you talked about the stolen base attempt in the last inning with Berkman at the plate. That's just a ball away from him that he just sits back on, drives it, let the ball get deep into the strike zone so that he can have the power to drive the ball that way. Gosh, he has great plate coverage. I tell you, Tommy, when Biggio tried to steal second base in that last inning and got thrown out, you questioned it. I didn't have a big problem with it because he was trying to get in scoring position. But obviously, if Berkman comes up and jumps the yard with Biggio still at first, it's a 2-run blast.
Well, you and I, Steve, we've been working together a number of years now. Bob, you and I, the same thing. I mean, I think all of us like the running game very, very much. But when you have guys that are swinging the bat like this guy swinging the bat right now, with 2 men out in an inning, you can't leave him standing there with a bat in his hand.
I just don't think that they expect him to go hit a home run every time. He's so hot. If you get to second base, if he bangs a single out there, you score. You don't score from first on a single if he doesn't go out of the yard.
Good sharp breaking ball, and Kent gone swinging. Let's send it to Los Angeles. Here's Jeannie Velasco.
Well, it doesn't get any more must-win than this. Red Sox on the brink of extinction, trailing the Yankees 0-3, getting ready right now at Fenway. Game 4 is coming up next on Fox.
So now the bottom part of the Houston batting order. hitless again in the game today. The trio of Ensberg, Vizcaino, and either Chavez or Austin combined for 7 hits in 40 at-bats. And just like that, Calero ahead of Ensberg, 0-2.
I don't think it's unusual to see that in postseason play because of the ridiculous amount of advanced scouting that teams have going into a postseason series. The good hitters are going to get their hits. It doesn't make any difference. The middle of the lineup guys are probably going to get their hits. You have to contain those guys at the bottom of the order. Go to their weaknesses. Don't allow them to get anything started. It's not unheard of that a guy at the bottom of the order will jump up and do something amazing in the postseason, but as a general rule, these guys are hitting at the bottom of the order for a reason. They have weaknesses, and because of the advanced scouting and the ability of the pitchers to attack those weaknesses, it's going to be tough.
Fly ball, left center field. So Taguchi back to the warning track, and he's got it. Second out of the inning. Now Vizcaino, 4 hits and 14 at-bats during this LCS. Albert Pujols will be leading off the Cardinals' 7th inning. And will Phil Garner stick with Roy Oswalt? That one slapped down the left field line. Fair ball into the corner. Vizcaino making a turn. And he's in a scoring position with a 2-out double, and that is the tying run of the game.
Piece of hitting by Jose Vizcaino, staying on a fastball away, driving it down that left field line. It brings a dilemma here. Sure. If you're Tony La Russa, do you walk Chavez intentionally to force Phil Garner's hand with Roy Oswalt, who's the on-deck hitter? Or do you go after Chavez with 2 outs, hopefully ending the inning? These are all things. They've got all the numbers over there. They know all the matchups. They may pitch him very carefully here. If they walk him, they don't mind.
You end the inning here, you put them in an okay position for next inning, knowing that they're going to have to hit for that guy anyway.
Runner at second, Jose Vizcaino, the tying run, and Chavez waits. Slider, they appeal. No. Says Angel Hernandez. 0-1.
I guarantee you, if Roy Oswalt was on top of his game, if he had his A stuff and was blowing people away and striking hitters out, you would see an intentional walk right here to try to get that man out of the game. But he's having a so-so afternoon. They feel like they can get to him. They have gotten to him already in this game. Consequently, they're going after the number 8 hitter.
A little bleeder, base hit, and we have a tie game in Game 4.
Just a cut fastball off the end of the bat of Chavez. That one looks not so pretty, but I've liked the swings that this kid has taken in the games. Nobody's happier or more pumped up than he is right now.
Talk it down. He was telling that ball to get down, get down, get down.
Orlando Palmeiro will now come on and pitch in. So the decision to pitch to the number 8 hitter, Chavez, who is 0 for 2 in the game, comes back to bite St. Louis. But if you're Tony La Russa, we'll get to this after the pitching change. Chavez did not get a lot of playing time during the year. Raul Chavez ties the game at 5 with a 2-out single into center field in the bottom of the 6th inning. Pitching change made by Tony La Russa. He brings on the left-hander Ray King. Orlando Palmeiro is the announced pinch hitter. Let's send it downstairs to Josh Lewin.
Tom, one thing that may come into play as we go along in this game, Mike Lamb, Bill Garner's best pinch hitter, not here as of this moment. His wife, Teresa, giving birth to the couple's first child yesterday in L.A. Mike flew home to L.A. to be with Teresa. They're hoping Mike makes it back later, maybe in time for extra innings if there are any, but as of right now, he's not here.
Josh, thank you very much. And that's a big weapon not to have. With Mike Lamb, certainly we send congratulations to Mike and his wife and a new little boy. And Ray King has given up a couple of long ones in this league championship series, both of them against Lance Berkman.
Lamb did have a big pinch hit home run in this series. Not a lot of pop off the bench for Phil Garner, but Palmeiro does a nice job of getting on.
Palmeiro, in 3 pinch hit at-bats in this series, has a couple of hits. Now, he did not see left-handers very frequently during the regular year. Only 12 at-bats against him, and he only had 2 base hits. Want to know the count, and it's in there, a strike. We've talked so much about how quiet the bottom part of this batting order for the Astros had been up until this home half of the 6th inning. After the home run by Berkman, there were 2 out, nobody on. Vizcaíno a double. Chavez knocks him in to tie the game. One and 2.
In batting practice, Palmeiro was working with the hitting instructor Gary Gaetti at trying to be short and quick to the ball. See, he has his hands right out in front of him. He has very little movement, almost a short defensive swing. He knows his job is just to put his bat on the ball, try to go the other way. He's not going to try to be hitting the ball out of the park. His job is to get on. Watch how short and quick the stroke is.
Choked up on the bat. Much better bat control. Just as you said, it looks like a defensive 2-strike swing right out of the chute.
Julian Tovar is getting loose down in the St. Louis bullpen. In the air down the left field line. Taguchi with room, and that'll end the inning. But the Astros tie it in the 6th. The homer by Berkman, big hit by Chavez. Back after a break from your local Fox station. We head for the top of the 7th inning in Game 4 of this National League Championship Series. The Cardinals lead this best-of-7, 2 games to 1. And now the Astros will turn it over to their bullpen. And the man who's been by far their sharpest out of the bullpen in 2 games, Dan Wheeler. He is not allowed a run, struck out 6 in his 2 appearances without a walk in this series.
He's the kind of guy that generally gives the Cardinals fits. Does not throw hard, throws a lot of slop up there. Fastball will top out right about there at 91. Likes to sink the ball, throws a curveball, a slider, a changeup. Mixes up locations and speeds.
Not much chance to ease in here.
No. Part of the order for the Redbirds. And there's a strike on the outside corner to Albert Pujols. Pujols, a 2-run home run in the opening inning. Watkins scored in the 3rd, knocked in a run with a single in the 4th. See a perfect 2 for 2 against Wheeler. Off the end of the bat, and it's going to fall in, a base hit. Pujols aboard for the 4th time today, his 3rd base hit. Boy, how do you get this guy out?
Went fastball away 2 times and then comes back with this breaking ball that hangs a little bit. Pujols off the end of his bat. He's lucky that he was out in front, but this is what we talked about. This is what Wheeler will do to you. Get you out on your front foot just a little bit, going that way. Don't quite have the power behind your swing off the end of his bat. And ho-hum, he still gets another hit.
Will the go-ahead run aboard for the Cardinals here in the 7th inning and roll in the batter. Breaking ball gets through. And Pujols advances into scoring position.
Chances are this will be ruled a wild pitch. The ball was in the dirt. Actually, it was not in the dirt. Chavez fooled a little bit back there. I think he thought the pitch was going to go to the dirt. It hit him up on the heel of the glove about 6 inches above the dirt, got through the 5-hole all the way to the backstop.
I wonder if he was looking for a curveball and got a slider there. Waiting for that thing to bite even deeper down into the dirt, and got a slider that was a little more flat and hit him right off the heel of his glove.
Breaking ball away, and it's 2 balls and no strikes on Rolen. A little bit different situation this time for Wheeler out of the bullpen than his first 2 appearances in this series. He came in both times prior to today with the Astros behind in the game and was very effective. But now he's pitching with perhaps the game on the line as Dan Maselli, to protect that Chad Quall, starts to throw down in the bullpen. Looked like Rolen was trying to hit it the other way to advance a runner on that 2-0 swing. Had to go 2 innings, getting the save here yesterday. That one stayed up. Brown wanted the call, didn't get it. 3-1.
Now, if that was a little cut fastball or a slider that backed up a little bit, stayed on the outer half of the plate, didn't get the call.
Dangerous pitch to a dangerous hitter. 3 balls and 1 strike to Rolen. Threw a fastball right by him.
Surprised him with that fastball and just blew it right by him on the outer half.
3-1 coming, now the 3-2. And he struck him out with another fastball.
Let's take you through the entire pitch sequence there. Outstanding job of pitching by Wheeler. First pitch, you remember, was the slider that crossed up. Pujols went down to second on that, then a curveball in the dirt. Fastball up for a strike. Then he goes that little cut fastball. He didn't get the call, and then he said, all right, I'm going to have to come right at you. Fastball on the outer half. Fastball on the outer half. Nasty. All right, I'll tell you what he does. Wheeler comes in there with some big guts and pitches.
He can move the ball both directions. You mentioned cut it away from the righties, sink it back on that outside corner like he did to Rolen right there at the end. Changes speeds well. And when a guy comes into the ball game throwing a lot of off-speed pitches, it makes that fastball look all the better if you could spot it the way Wheeler has.
Bob, you brought up the decision Tony La Russa had to make in the bottom of the 6th inning, perhaps now one for Phil Garner as Jim Hickey comes out to the mound. You have first base open, a left-handed batter in Edmonds coming up. Edmonds is 0 for 2 with a sac fly RBI today. If you walk him, it would bring Edgar Renteria to the plate, only 1 of 13 in this series.
I've always been a big fan of setting up a potential double play for your defense, especially with a pitcher like Wheeler on the mound who can sink that ball, keep it down, try to get a ground ball, let your defense do the work behind you. We've seen what Jim Edmonds is capable of doing.
They're going after him.
The go-ahead run in scoring position. And it's into center field. Caught by Beltran.
Now, Bobby, you've had a chance to manage so many guys, and especially guys like Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling that just have tremendous arms. But, boy, I just really respect a guy like Wheeler who does not have that kind of stuff. Can't blow you away. Tops out at 91. Has to change speeds. But comes in and says, I'm going to challenge you with the stuff that I have. And he's been by far the best guy out of their pen in this series.
Doesn't know how to pitch, know how to use the weapons that they have, know how to take advantage of a hitter's aggressiveness.
Go ahead run at second base, and now Renteria. 0 for 2 in the game. 1 hit in the series. And a slider for strike 1.
perfect location. Setting the timing. Look at him going forward, out on his front foot, not be able to keep his weight back and get anything on that swing. Changing speeds.
Try to slider again, and this time Renteria lays off of it.
A shaky inning back there behind the plate. Another late reaction by the Astro catcher. Looked like he got fooled by that pitch again. Another slider with some indecision about how to catch it.
Fastball and a two-hopper at Kent, and we go to the bottom of the seventh. What a job by Wheeler. The Astros have a top of the batting order coming up. Bottom half of the seventh inning. We keep it right here for the singing of God Bless America by Texas music favorite Robert Earl Keen.
America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Today's game on Fox brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb Company. Hope, triumph, and the miracle of medicine. By John Hancock, official sponsor of Major League Baseball, and by Pioneer Pure Vision Plasma Displays. The purest color, the purest experience. Bottom of the seventh inning, game 4 of this National League Championship Series, a 5-5 game. Fourth pitcher now brought on by Tony La Russa, following Jason Marquis, Kiko Calero, and Ray King is Julian Tavares.
Just the second road game in this series, and Tavares has already got that hat all messied up.
Top of the order for Houston. And there is certainly a buzz in the crowd right now. Those killer bees coming up. Biggio, Beltran, Bagwell, and they're hoping for Berkman thereafter. Hector Luna is taking over as shortstop, replacing as part of the double switch Edgar Renteria. Biggio bounced to short in the first, popped to third in the third, single to left field, was thrown out stealing in the fifth. And Brad Lidge down there in the Houston bullpen getting ready. Into right field, caught by Walker. And while we have a moment, let's send it to Fenway Park in Boston. Here's Chris Myers.
Tom here at Fenway getting ready for Game 4. A cold, clear night, temperature in the 50s. Forecast for Boston kind of gloomy. Have nothing to do with the weather, of course. And forget that Sunday night show, Desperate Housewives. How about Desperate Red Sox? What an assault the Yankees put on them last night. Derek Lowe, Orlando Hernandez. Game 4 follows your game right here on Fox.
We will look forward to that. Chris Myers, thank you very much. Those are the regular season numbers. El Duque got on that remarkable run, but then really faltered down the stretch, had a sore right shoulder. And Derek Lowe, well, a 14-game winner, but a very, very high ERA. And the last time he faced the Yankees during the regular year, they knocked him out in the second inning. Now Beltran. He has homered in every game of this series. Today he's walked, scored, singled, scored, struck out looking in the fifth.
Beltran trained himself to be quick through the hands when he was with Kansas City, using a tennis ball machine that would throw a ball from 80 to 150 miles an hour at him, and the balls would have numbers on them. He had to teach himself to recognize the number as it came in.
Hardy on a fastball there, and he drops it foul out of play, 1-1.
I'm not so sure I'd even want to get hit by a 150-mile-an-hour tennis ball.
We had that machine in spring training my first year with the Diamondbacks, and a lot of guys really liked it, and some guys weren't so crazy about it, but hey, it was amazing to stand in there and watch that. I mean, it's hard to see the first few of them.
Good breaking ball on the outside corner from Tavares, and he's ahead of Beltran, 1-2.
Good pitch from Tavares. Backdoor slider, catches the outside corner.
Not this time. 2-2. That was the same pitch that Calero struck out Beltran on his last at bat in the fifth.
That's the first time we've even seen Beltran pitch at a pitch that he didn't want to swing, but it was because of the pitch before. Nasty backdoor slider. He tried to do the same thing, and he thought about having to hit that ball in case it got called strike 3.
2-2 on Beltran. In the air, well hit, right center field. It is gone!
Sequence here of 2 Carlos. Fastball up and out of the strike zone. Another fastball almost the same location. There's the backdoor slider that he didn't like. The little hitch you talked about, Steve. Then gets the slider down and in. Didn't even appear to be that good of a pitch, but we've talked many, many times about those left-handed hitters and that ball down and in.
And Beltran has tied Barry Bonds for the most home runs in a single postseason. Took him 9 games to do it. He has 8 of them. And far more importantly, the Astros lead, and Lidge really cranking it up now. What an absolutely unbelievable display being put on by Carlos Beltran. That was a pretty good trade.
I mean, it's so impressive because he just golfed this ball out of the ballpark. Like you said, Bobby, I don't even think that pitch was a strike. Down around his ankles, dropped the bat head on it. Gary Gaetti said, along with his Willie Wilson speed, he says he believes he has Barry Bonds type power. So pretty. Wow.
Well, when you're locked in like that as a hitter, I mean, you pick up the rotation on the ball so much quicker than you do when you're struggling. You know where it's going to end up. You can hit bad balls out of the ballpark when you're as locked in as Beltran is right now.
Yeah, those dots on the tennis balls look like bowling balls to him right now.
Whoa!
And that one, Wells' head thrown all the way to the screen, and Tavares saying, "Why are you looking at me?"
Yeah, but Tavares is coming all the way in saying, "Why are you looking at me?"
And a warning is being issued, it looks like, by the home plate umpire, Mike Winters, to both teams.
I agree with you, Steve. I mean, this is all on Tavares right here. Jeff Bagwell, Pitch flies over his head. He just takes off his ankle guard and heads down to first base. Tavares came several steps toward home plate. He was the one doing all the squawking.
And Phil Garner, I think, would argue this warning because he's going to say, what have we done in order to get a warning on our side of the field right now? Watch Tavares take about 3 or 4 steps in. Bagwell hasn't even really looked at him yet.
I mean, Bagwell, it doesn't appear as though he said anything to the guy. Maybe he did. Yeah. Yep, he did. I beg your pardon.
It didn't appear he was saying anything loud enough for Tavares to hear it out at the pitching mound, but Julian took it upon himself to come in there and try to hear what Bagwell was saying, and it certainly appeared like he was the aggressor if there was anything happening right there.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say something, whether I'm talking to myself or you, if you buzz that pitch over my head like that, too. Tavares is an excitable guy. Great guy in the clubhouse. Everyone likes him. He's a little bit crazy, but maybe his emotions get the best of him on the mound right there.
And the Friday off day, of course, not a lot happening. The media was searching for some quotes and some interviews, and Julian Tavares was very upfront, first of all, saying that our bullpen is better than their bullpen, and then went on to say our team is better than their team.
Look out.
Tavares was rattled by that home run off the bat of Beltran. He came nowhere close to the strike zone in any of the 4 pitches to Bagwell, including that ball 4 that sailed over his head.
Yeah, and in steps another guy that is white hot.
Greg cranks it up in the bullpen, and here's Lance Berkman. 2 for 2, 3 RBI. And the first pitch is in the dirt all the way back to the screen. Boy, the wheels have fallen off Tavares.
Ball in the dirt. Not much you can do about that one. Right at the feet of the left-handed hitter. I believe now they're going to go ahead and put Berkman on base. They don't want to mess with him anymore today.
Had a pair of 3-run leads in this game. They jumped in front in the top of the first 3-0. Houston got one in the bottom of the inning. Cardinals got another 3-run lead when they scored in the 3rd. Houston got 2 back in the bottom of that inning. St. Louis tacked on a run in the 4th, but they have been shut out over the last 3 innings. 2 by Roy Oswalt, 1 by Dan Wheeler. And this Cardinal bullpen so good during the regular season and during the division series for that matter, has had its bumps in the road so far in this league championship series.
I'll tell you what, Kent so far today has not had a good day. He's popped up and struck out twice, but he's swung the bat very well against the Cardinals, not only in this series, but all season long. I really think Tavares is going to have to get himself together and lock in, because you walk a guy in front of Jeff Kent, that's the type of thing that gets a guy like him locked in.
Hey, you saw Tony La Russa there giving a hand signal to Albert Pujols at first base that he wanted him to shorten up and play closer to the runner at first base. Jeff Kent, a dead pull hitter, not likely to hit the ball to the right side. Pulled that runner a step closer, possibly to turn that double play.
2 on, 1 out, Kent waits. First pitch swinging, fouls it away. Kent in his career, 5 hits and 15 at-bats against Julian Tavares, including a home run.
Now, you've heard the old saying, let sleeping dogs lie. Kent's been lying in this game. You intentionally walk a guy in front of him, I think you wake him up.
But it's the right move, the way Berkman's swinging it back, right?
Absolutely.
Don't tell Jeff Kent that.
0-1 to Kent with 2 on and 1 out. And a fastball to strike 2.
Well, the fact that Jeff Kent grounded into 23 double plays during the regular season makes this move all the more obvious. It's a high strike call there from Mike Winters, the home plate umpire.
Those are the numbers we talked about a moment ago for Kent against Tavares. Now, just because there was a warning issue doesn't mean they have to throw Tavares out of the game. That was a breaking ball, and clearly in the judgment of Mike Winters, the home plate umpire, he knows Tavares did not try and hit Kent with a pitch.
Not 0-2. He missed his location on that pitch by about 6 feet. They're trying to go down and away. Look at where Molina is, and look where this pitch ends up.
If you're Tony La Russa, do you stay with Tavares?
No.
He makes 2 steps up the dugout, and he's waiting. And now he's standing and looking around. And again, Bob, that saved defensive signal to his infield. Elbred's ready, and they're going to stay with Tavares.
Well, this is shocking to me. The guy is having a minor meltdown out there on the mound. He's missing location. He's obviously overly emotional at this point.
Morgan Ensberg 0 for 3 in a game. Infield in for St. Louis, down to run in the 7th. Nowhere close to the strike zone, 1-0. Since the home run by Beltran, Julian Tavares has thrown 12 pitches, 1 of them for a strike. There's a second.
You saw the way Molina received that pitch. Not exactly a good frame of a borderline pitch, but when your pitcher is missing his spot by, as you said, Steve, 6 feet, I mean, you feel like a goalie back there. You're just trying to keep the ball in front as best you can.
I have no idea how tough it is to be Molina right now. The catching position has such a great feeling of power when you throw a finger down and the pitcher hits your glove, but the opposite is true when the guy has no clue out there.
Bases loaded. Bagwell, Berkman, and Kent aboard for Morgan Ensberg. Infield in for the Redbirds. And the 1-1 pitch. What an unbelievable pickup by Molina. How in the world did he even get a glove on it?
We talk about range at other positions on the field. It doesn't show up as much behind the plate, but Molina showing tremendous range back there just to get a glove on that ball.
Everything Tony La Russa said about this young man before the game today has proven to be true. He is quite a defensive catcher.
And that's just flat out a run scored and everybody moving up. If he doesn't catch, that was a desperation backhand stab. He was playing third base on that ball. Scary to be sitting back there right now.
2-1 pitch. On the ground, the Cardinals may get 2. There's 1, and that's a double play. So Tavares serves up the home run to Beltran, but no further damage. We go to the 8th, 6-5, Houston. Houston has come from behind, getting a pair of runs in the 6th inning, 1 in the 7th to take the lead. We go to the 8th inning. And for a second straight day, Brad Lidge comes on in the 8th inning. Hector Luna bats for the first time and looks at a strike. Eric Bruntlett is taken over at shortstop with Jose Vizcaíno moving over to second base. Jeff Kent out of the game. And a new catcher as well for the Astros with Lidge coming on is Brad Austin. It's interesting to note that including yesterday's game, Brad Lidge has worked 2 innings or more 15 times this year. On only 5 of those occasions was he asked to pitch again the next day. when they did bring him back, he was almost unhittable. And he strikes out Lynn on 3 pitches. Meanwhile, Julian Tavares was not unhittable, nor was he much in control of his emotions.
Well, there's no doubt baseball's a game of frustration. But this is not like football where you can vent your emotions, take it out on the other team. You have to be in control if you're going to be able to go out there and execute the things you need to do to be successful.
And what we didn't see in that clip right there was a great job by Reggie Sanders, who came over and calmed him down and took him down the runway.
Lidge has thrown 5 straight strikes. He's ahead of Molino in 2. In those 5 games after pitching 2 innings the day before. The numbers for Lidge, there you see. 4 1/3 innings, 2 saves and 2 opportunities. And a weak roller to the right side. Vizcaíno the flip. 2 away.
I believe that ball actually bounced before Molina hit it.
A cricket.
That might be your best opportunity to hit a Lidge pitch.
Get a true bounce off a pitch in the dirt.
Playing cricket.
You know, guys, getting back to these numbers. Talked about perfect and safe situations. Coming back the next day, 10 strikeouts, no walks. He only gave up 2 hits to now 17 batters. The day after pitching 2 or more innings this year. And he goes through them in order. Roger Cedeno, a tapper to Bagwell. So just like that, Houston comes back up, leading by a run. The League Championship Series on Fox brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By new M3 Power from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. And by Sharp. Sharp Aquos. Suddenly, there's more to see. The Houston Astros, winner of 20 out of their last 21 games in this ballpark, is stormed back against this Cardinal bullpen. They got 2 against Calero. A home run given up by Julian Tavares that came off the bat of Carlos Beltran, breaking a 5-5 tie in the 7th. And now Tony La Russa going to give it to his closer for the bottom of the 8th, Jason Isringhausen. A couple of other changes as well for St. Louis. Mike Matheny comes on to replace Yadier Molina behind the plate. And Roger Cedeno, who pinch hit a moment ago, remains in the game to play left field.
Talk about one of the keys in this game for St. Louis was the ability to be able to control Beltran. Walked scored in the 1st, singled and scored in the 3rd, and homered in the 7th. Not controlling him at all. Can anybody right now?
1-0 to Jose Vizcaíno. And a tapper down to Pujols. And that's the first out here in the Houston 8th inning. And it gives us a chance to bring you our game summary brought to you by Nissan. Game 4 of this National League Championship Series. Marquis lasting 4+ innings, giving up 3 runs. Oswalt struggled with his command today, but he hung around for 6 innings, giving up 5 earned runs. Beltran, 5 straight games now, a postseason record with a home run. Pujols, major damage again. Incidentally, on Oswalt, it's only the 2nd time in his major league career he has failed to strike out a batter in a game. Soft liner caught off the bat of Ausmus, 2 away. If you're looking ahead to the Cardinals' 9th inning, they have the top of the order coming up against Brad Lidge. Womack, Walker, and then the big fella.
You know, looking back at Oswalt's outing today, obviously have seen much better from him over the course of the season, but a lot of times on a day like today is when a good pitcher really shows his stuff.
Popped up. They want to get Lidge right back out there. And
anybody can pitch with their good stuff, right, Bobby? That's right.
We go to the 9th. Houston leads by a run. Brad Lidge, 3 outs away from evening this National League Championship Series at 2 games apiece. Brad Ausmus back behind the plate. And the new left fielder is Jason Lane. Top of the order for St. Louis. Ball 1 to Tony Womack, 0 for 3 in a game, 2 for 16 in the series. He walked and scored in the 4th.
Imagine Brad Lidge didn't even want to be a pitcher. Said he wasn't good enough to play in the outfield on his high school team. He played with a couple kids that got drafted. Forced him into pitching because he couldn't make the starting team in the outfield.
Strike 2, a blazing fastball. One and 2 coming to Womack. Fouled back out of play. Got a look there a moment ago at Carol Garner, wife of Astros manager Phil Garner. Still sporting her Astros merchandise from way back when Phil played for the Astros.
She's grinding just as hard as he is.
Oh, yeah. Brad Lidge threw 41 pitches in his 2 innings yesterday. The fastball at 96 miles per hour sails high.
I asked him yesterday about why he threw so many sliders in yesterday's ball game, considering he's got a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He said, I felt like I was getting into some patterns with these guys, throwing too many fastballs, so we wanted to throw more breaking balls.
And a diving play by Bagwell. He caught the ball. The first base umpire, Angel Hernandez, ruling immediately that he caught it before it hit the ground. And a good call it was.
Baggy could have taken some pressure off of Lidge, hustling over here, panicking that he's not going to get there in time.
Boy, how big a play is that right there?
Bagwell guarding the line to protect against the extra base hit. Able to make the dive to the right to corral that line drive. Slider there to Tony Womack that he hooked hard to the right side. They had stayed away with hard stuff. We talked about Tony Womack yesterday. Can pull that breaking ball.
Now Larry Walker. 0-1. Walker a pair of home runs in this LCS. He has 4 in this postseason. Pujols waits on deck. 2-0.
Said one of the keys for the Astros was to get Bagwell going, coming into this game hitting just 100, but couple hits, scored a run, and his defense has been great the whole series.
2-0 to Walker. 3 balls and no strikes. Going to work. Nowhere close to the strike zone. He walks Walker on 4 pitches. Well, it's October, and the Major League Baseball postseason is coming down to the wire. Every game, every inning, every play counts. Watch the World Series on Fox starting October the 23rd. Don't miss it. High drama in high depth. Albert Pujols representing the go-ahead run here in the top of the 9th inning. For our viewers in New York and in the New England area, in a moment we'll be taking you to Game 4 of the American League Championship Series. For the rest of the country, if you'd like to see the start of that game, switch over to the FX network.
Nice move by Brad Ausmus right here, going out to get on the same page with Lidge. I think they're talking about pitch selection here. If you're wondering about what Lidge does, of course, we tell you he's got that 96-mile-an-hour fastball and the downward breaking slider. I think you got to try to get Pujols to bounce into a double play in this situation, not necessarily strike him out. He grounded into 21 double plays during the regular season. The worry is if you hang that slider.
1-0 to Pujols. Slider and a good one. One count on Pujols. Swing and a miss. Throw down to first. And Walker does get back. Boy, if that throw is on the foul side of the first base bag and a little bit lower, they might have had one.
Now, Walker has always been a very good base runner, trying to get as big a jump down there as possible on his secondary lead in the event Pujols hits the ball in the gap. He wants to be able to score.
A ball and 2 strikes on Pujols. Following our game here in Houston, we'll have coverage of Game 4 of the American League Championship Series from Fenway Park, presented in high definition and brought to you by the all-new Dodge Dakota. Stay tuned to Fox Sports, your exclusive home for postseason baseball. In the air, left field. Backing up, and room out there for Lane. About 42,900 held their collective breath.
Hit that one-handed out there.
Today's play of the game brought to you by Sharp Aquos Liquid Crystal Television. There's always more to see. And what a display Carlos Beltran has put on during this postseason. Tying Barry Bonds' single postseason home run record with 8. He broke a 5-tie tie in a 7th. Swing and a miss by Roller. Again, a reminder, the Yankees and the Red Sox will be immediately coming up for the rest of the country right here on Fox at the conclusion of this Game 4. This National League Championship Series is heating up. Grounded foul, and Lidge ahead of Roller. Trying to put Game 4 in the book and knock this series at 2 apiece. Coming up next, right here on Fox. Game 4 of the American League Championship Series. 1-2 on Roller, representing the go-ahead run. It's the best of 3 now in the National League Championship Series. The 2 games in St. Louis, it's been the Astros bullpen that has been better than the Cardinal bullpen here in Houston. Wheeler and Lidge combined for 3 innings of 1-hit shutout baseball after Lidge got the final 2 innings of 1-hit shutout baseball yesterday.
Of 22 straight games here.
Let's send it downstairs to Josh Lewin.
All right, guys, Carlos Beltran homering in 5 consecutive postseason games. Are you guys feeling it now? You're 2-2.
Well, right now we feel good. We take yesterday's game to this ball game. You know, I think Owa did a great job closing the game with Lidge. Right now the series tie, and you know this is what we were looking for.
Carlos, take me through the at-bat against Julian Tavares in the 7th, if you would.
Well, Tavares, he's a guy to throw a very good sinker, very good slider. He also got a split. So I was looking just to put the bottom plate. He threw me a couple slider back door that I took, 1 for a ball, 1 for a strike. and he just threw me another slider, and I was able to hit the ball. You know, it was a good pitch for him, but at the same time, I was able to score my bat, and the ball went out of the ballpark, you know, give us the lead, and I was very happy after that.
You're setting and tying all kinds of postseason records. Do you know that, or you're stopping to smell the roses here?
No, I don't know that, but, you know, feels good. This is great. You know, this is a great experience for me, being able to play my first playoffs, and, you know, God is really blessing me well, and I'm just very happy just to be able to contribute.
Congratulations, Carlos. Thank you. Carlos Beltran, guys.
Josh, thank you very much. The producer of today's game, Jeff Gowan, our director, Jim Lynch, our associate producer, Carol Langley McDermott, the associate director, Eric Billigmeyer, our broadcast associate, Zach Fields, our technical producer, Dan Rotante, tape room led by Doug Coughlin and company. Vice President of Field Operations is Jerry Steinberg. The studio produced by Gary Lang, directed by Jeff Wynn, associate director, Chris Therian. The coordinating producer of the studio show is Scott Ackerson. The studio technical supervisor, Jack Simmons. The senior producer of Fox Sports, Bill Brown. And the executive producers, David Hill and Ed Goy. For Steve Lyons, Bob Brindley, and our entire Fox crew, the National League Championship Series is tied at 2. Jeannie, Kevin, Eric standing by the Fox Network Center. The ALCS coming up in a moment.